Welcome to the first in a 5-part series of videos which are going to look at the audio damage sequencer 1. In this part I'm going to be going through pitch, gate, ratchets, slide, gate time, accent time, sequencer length, sequencer mode and the performance repeats for this first part in the series. We'll start by looking at putting in some notes. There's currently an empty patch selected. Pressing Alt and going into step we can see each step's value and then you press and hold to select that step. You turn a gate on and off by just pressing that step. And then you've also got the gate on and off with these 4 buttons as well. Here's each one. Each gate is triggering an envelope to open up my sound, and you can hear it's just a basic oscillator, sync style patch of an LFO moving some of the timbre through the patch. Pressing and holding step again, you can set the pitch for each step on the keyboard buttons. So this is just going to be a fairly basic pitched sequence. So that'll do for now with both pitch and gate set up. There's a per step gate length which you access by going to the step mode and pressing the encoders, and that takes us through the step settings. There's gate time here which is selected per step. Turning my envelope shape to be just full sustain and then we can listen to step 1. You can hear that note isn't held as long as the rest, so go through and set up some random gate times for each step. Because the sustain is up full on my envelope, you can hear this really easily. Changing the shape to have a sharper decay and a lower sustain level, we can hear a more musical envelope using the patch. The next thing to look at is adding slides. Selecting a step, we've got the 4 buttons for gate, accent, ratchet and slide, so I'll turn on slide on a couple of the steps. Pressing Alt and Tempo, we go to the tempo, swing and slide settings. Slide goes from run through 20, with 20 being a full and long slide between notes, and a value of 1 gives you a nice sharp slide in between pitch values. Looking at accents, I'll take a cable into the accent output and turn down my filter in this patch, and then I'm going to use the accent output to open up that filter for a short burst of open filter in the patch. You could use the accent for anything, such as firing off drum sounds, triggering extra envelopes, letting more signal through on a VCA, resetting LFOs, or anything like that, and like the gate, there's also an accent time per step. So I'll go through and select some stages and add in the accents. So you can hear that some steps create an extra burst of sound here, and here it is unplugged. Then back in again. And you can hear that open up the filter further on those steps. And as I said, there's accent time per step as well. I've already got the sequencer playing and I'm going to press Alt and Seek and go in to change the length to just 4 steps. Pressing Alt and Step and I'm going to go through and turn on all the gates, and this is just triggering a basic chord sound. So I'm going to go into my sequence and set up some pitches. So we're triggering a bit of a weird held chord sound, but it does the job. Pressing the encoder, we've got pulse settings, and this is how many pulses of that clock this step is active for. There's also a re-trigger, which is off at the minute, so the step will just play once, the gate will fire once, and it will hold for 8 pulses and then move on. Turning on the re-trigger, you can hear that re-trigger each of those 8 clock pulses before moving on to the next step. So let's turn the pulse down to 2, and then I'm going to have the middle step hold for 4 pulses with no re-trigger. So there you have a per step pulse setting with or without re-triggering at the gate output. So here's a sequence already moving again with the gate triggering envelope, which is opening up the folder mount in my patch, and I'm holding Alt and pressing step. We can go in and look at the ratchet settings per step. Selecting the first step, we can then have 2 ratchets, 3 or 4 ratchets per step. So let's go through and add some ratchets to the steps. So I'm going to go for 4 ratchets on step 10, 3 ratchets on step 11 and 2 on step 12, giving them the idea of these ratchets slowing down as they're going across those steps in the sequence. Setting up a pattern here, I'll look at patterns with a larger length than 16. First of all, I'm going to go into seek mode, and you can see the length is set to 16. So I'm going to move that up to 32, which is obviously 2 lots of 16. And all you do to see those second set of 16 steps is press the measure button. First I'll turn on every gate and then go back and press measure. So you can see on the bottom of the screen the measure icon, which shows which one you're looking at. So I'll build up a simple sequence. This is roughly based around C minor. Hitting play starts the gates triggering my patch, and let's take the pitch output into my oscillator as well. So you can see the first 16 steps and then press measure to see the second 16 steps as well. And I'll turn some of these gates off to create a nice little gate sequence going along with the pitch. And you can have a maximum of 64 steps in each sequence. So for a new sequence going, let's look at the performance repeats, which are Rep 8, Rep 4, Rep 2 and Rep 1. These buttons you hold and you can play these live to repeat the last step, the last 2 steps, last 4 or last 8 steps. It will then bounce back to the step it should have been on at the previous sequence. So if I press and hold step 7, and when I let it go, it's going to bounce to where it should be in that sequence, not just at the step straight after the repeat that I've just held. So there you've got the performance repeats. With another new patch setup, I'm going to look at the sequencer modes. Pressing Alt and Sequencer, so far you can see the sequencer mode, and if you don't see that you can flick through the menu with the encoder. At the minute you can see a right pointing arrow to indicate forward motion. The next setting is reverse. There's a ping pong which goes forward and back, which doesn't repeat the first and last step. And then there's also a ping pong that does repeat the first and last step. We've then got skip. Walk mode. Jump. And we've got halt that seems a little bit useless on its own, but under CV control, which I'll come to later, it'd be cool to create a sort of random playing sequence that can actually be halted with CV and then flick through the other sequencer modes as well. We've then got random even that plays a sequence in order in terms of the odd numbered steps, but then jumps randomly between the even numbered steps. And And then we've also got random odd, which plays the even steps in order and randomly jumps through the odd ones. So that's it for part 1. Watch out for the other parts in this series of videos for the sequencer 1 from Audio Damage, which is going to go through all the features step by step. Hit like and subscribe for more videos every week, and check the Patreon link in the description to support my channel.